I thought y'all said the mic was good. I thought y'all said the mic was good. The thing ain't on? That thing ain't on. How's everybody's New Year going? Yeah, the mic was on. The mic was on. I just wasn't talking. You know, the babies is home from school, so you know it's. But I've been watching. You know, I've been receiving all of the text messages. I've been receiving all of the text messages. Such and such just did this video. Such and such just did that video. The work that we're doing, right? And I have to thank the people who support. But the work that we're doing, right? So I want to thank you guys who support, the people who have not supported, the people who didn't send us a Christmas Cash App, a New Year's Cash App. There it goes right there, right in front of the screen there. Yeah, right there, right? But for the folks that sent us some love throughout the holidays, I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys relaxed, you had a good holiday, whatever the case may be. But I was in slavery. I was hard at work. I was hard at work. You know, they have the saying that God would never put more on your shoulders than you can handle. They need to add some more to that saying, though. They need to add a little bit more to that saying, like this. Oh God, no, God, God never put too much on your shoulders. You know, if he gives you, if he give you the job with an obstacle, you know, you can get past it, you can get around it, you can get through it, you can do it, you can accomplish it, you can see it, be it, become it. You can, you know, it did need some more words to that saying, because sometimes the undertaking is more than you bargain for. You don't really know what you're asking for, you know. And doing, you know, doing the prayers and things like that, you know, you get more in tune with yourself, you know, and you get more in tune, you know, things start to happen differently around you. For better or for worse, things start happening differently. And saying that we needed our own language, that was a doozy. That was a doozy. Because God put that right on me. Like, oh yeah, go ahead and knock that out. Yeah. Hey, go ahead and knock that out. Yeah, you're right. It's about time. Somebody? It's about time somebody step up to the plate. Yeah, knock that out. Ink, you got that? Don't worry about that, Ink. You got that. Go ahead and knock that out. Me, and my dumb, arrogant, ego-driven self, I'm like, yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got this. 70 books, 70 plus books in less than 18 months, right? So I can do this, right? In my mind, right? Because I understand, like, I'm not sure how many of you that's watching now was watching when we did the series on French, Spanish, Italian, and English, right? And it was primarily like now, I primarily dabble in, studying languages just for the neurochemical results, right? Just for the neurochemical results. There are large portions of your brain that have to be stimulated with you learning a new language. Your brain is hardwired this way, right? It's called abstract study, right? Your brain is hardwired for abstract study. And once you cross the 30-year-old mark, and those are for people who have taken care of themselves. If you eating crazy, getting high, you drinking, in your teenage years and all that, I would say once you cross the 25-year-old mark, if you're not studying foreign language, large portions of your brain is dying. Large portions of your brain is dying and not regenerating itself, right? You need abstract study. Now, when they first began to release these studies, this is when they began to flood the market with stuff like Tetris, Sudoku, people start buying up a whole bunch of word game books and all of that kind of stuff. That lasted maybe 5 or 10 years, only to find out, yeah, those things are good for your brain, but they're not neuroregenerative. They're not going to spark neurogenesis in the same way as picking up a new language will, right? So in the fight against dementia, in the fight against Alzheimer's, in the fight against cognitive decline, we temporarily go into these spaces where we study some other language. That's what we do. And I dedicate a lot of time to it. And I don't know if people really appreciate that time that we do, 3 months here, 6 months there, 3 months here, whatever the case may be. But nobody else that calls themselves a healer will even do that kind of thing, because it doesn't translate into money. While I'm spending months and months online talking about language, somebody else is selling you a herbal kit. Somebody else is selling you a detox package. Somebody else is selling you a bitter. So while my lights is getting cut off, so I can heal the people, right? Somebody else is gaining momentum and popularity in my chosen field and profession, right? So I'm losing ground and momentum. But for me, it's rewarding because, I have this relationship where I have to, I'm under the gun. God is watching me, right? So, all that being said to say, we spent a lot of time talking about how the English language is very young, and how it grew, right? It only started, the English language started with about 400 or 500 words. oddly enough, those same 500 words are still in use today, even though the English language now is like hundreds of thousands of words, right? And you can't find the first 500 anymore. Like if you look, it's hard to find. But if you look up the most frequently used words, depending on where you go, there's roughly about 600 to 900 words going to be in that list. It's the same 500 words. So for the most part, what I'm saying is although the language has grown in terms of words, usage, daily usage is still confined to mostly those same initial 500 words, right? And we did some experiments around the house back when we were making our, when we were doing our French thing. No, I think we were doing Hebrew at the time. I don't know what it was, but we did some experiments around the house to see how many. And you don't realize it, but most people only use about 200 to 300 words a day. This is how it's possible for people to function in a society where over 90% of the population has a 3rd or 4th grade reading level. It's because people don't use many words. They don't. You don't even realize it, but people don't use many words. For romantic purposes, what do you talk about for romance, right? Romance, either you're using 50 to 100 words related to sex, 50 to 100 words related to entertainment, 50 to 100 words related to food. Somewhere in that 300 words is going to get you in the bed with your sexual partner, and it's tomorrow, right? On average, talking to your children, it's about 100. It's probably about 100 words you use with children, because our relationship stays at parent-child. Our relationship stays at parent-child. So it grows from basic needs when you have a baby, you know, dada, mama, eat, I'm hungry, use the bathroom. And pretty much it expands from there. As your child grows, you throw in more, you know, don't touch this, don't touch that. How was school today? You know, how was school today? What's up with your friends? But the vocabulary stays pretty small, right? Unless you're making a conscious effort that you're reading, they're reading, and you're having conversations outside the box. 95% of people are not, right? So the conversation is very limited, right? You have a small sphere of interest for the most part. So you only talk to people about those things. And that's where your opportunity is for expansion of vocabulary, right? So if you're interested in cars, you may have friends that are also interested in cars. And so y'all will talk car talk, right? Car talk is the language exclusively applies to cars. John Q. Public never needs to discuss tires or spark plugs unless something's wrong with their vehicle, right? And in that case, they go to a mechanic, right? But most people can't speak fluently with their mechanic. Their mechanic has to dumb it down for the person to understand, right? They can't get into the technical parts of the engine or the ball bearings and this, that, because you don't really understand that stuff. They got to tell you, well, you know, something's wrong with your tires. I can get them back. You know, I can get your tires back. Your wheels are broken. Your alignment's off. So I can fix that. You know, give me $300. I can fix you, get you back on the road. You don't want to know all of the small details. And, you know, nobody understands what's going on in the hospital, right? Unless, you know, one of you're somebody over here. You know, and you happen to be a sapiosexual, so you're interested in that kind of conversation. But other than that, you know, if you like basketball, you talk basketball with your basketball people, or you might watch a channel where they're talking basketball. So language, words, people don't really have that much of a use for a whole bunch of words. So all that said to say, when I get this mission, right, I'm cocky with it. I'm cocky with it. I'm like, yeah, I could do this. I got this. No problem. Yeah, we started the mission. We started the mission, and I think we overachieved. I would say we overachieved because we went far beyond the mark. I would say we overachieved because we went far beyond the mark. But yeah, we got to go in. We got to go in baby steps. We got to go in baby steps. It was important though to get it done, and I guess the timing of it, the timing of it is it's a remarkable thing, right? It's a remarkable thing. I'm glad y'all was excited though, because if y'all were not excited, I wouldn't have been able to see it through. I wouldn't have been able to see it through. If y'all weren't excited, I wouldn't have been able to see it through. But we did something incredibly unique. Like, yeah, we did something incredibly unique. It's a tough act to follow. This is where it becomes not even fair anymore. We go through so much information inside this book. Let me see how many pages this book wound up being. Okay, 451 pages. Yeah, it's a lot of information in this book. I want to say there's probably about maybe 30 or 40 pages that are blank in the book. So you could write in the book, right? But you'll probably run out of space and you'll need a notebook to use with this book. Because not only is there a language there, but the way the book is structured that you have to learn the language, right? And what we did was we modeled our language on the medu using the hieratic script, right? But it's not hieratic and it's not exactly medu, right? It's not medu, it's not hieratic, it's ours, right? So nobody can't come along and tell you, if they hear you, they can't go, oh, that's not the correct way to use that word, blah, 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 blah. Ho. You don't even know what this is. You don't even know what this is. Like, this is not what you think. This is our thing, right? So we put in a lot of work, a lot of work. So with the medu nature, of course, you can up, down, left, right. With hieratic, it's always right to left. With him nature, or with our thing, it is left to right, just like English. Right? You read it left to right, just like English. Right? So that's the one major big difference already. You read it left to right, right? The same way you read English. So that is very easy for the way your brain flows, right? The way your brain waves flow is very easy. It's designed to accentuate your brain waves. It's designed to speed up neurogenesis, right? In a way that this is designed for your mind and your heart in a way that herbs cannot reach. So this will do something for your mind and your heart and your brain that herbs cannot do. Of course, we still need the herbs. It's New Year's. It's New Year's. If you're not on like AmericanHealer.website, okay? If you're not on your detox, if you don't have your bitters, if you're not ready to kick this thing off the right way, please, AmericanHealer.website, get the tools you need to get busy with the get busy. Right? Go get your tools so you can get busy. Okay. Tika has already ordered the book. Listen, Tika already has the book on the way. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about right there. But when I tell you this is at a whole nother level, yo, when I tell you it's not even fair anymore, and I know y'all been waiting for it. But I'm going to show y'all something, and I'm going to tell y'all something, and let me show y'all something. Hold on. I'll be right back. Let me show y'all something. I'll be right back.
Myron!
Oh,
Myron!
What?
What are you doing? What you doing?
What you talking about? What am I doing?
You reading them nasty books again, right, Myron?
Everybody read no nasty books, man. You scared the hell out of me. What you talking about, man? Well, I ain't did that in about 2 weeks.
You called yesterday 2 weeks. What you reading? What you reading?
You scared the goddamn book, man. Dr. Enqi. I went on Amazon and got 3 Dr. Enqi books because I'm reading about melatonin and biochemistry.
What is, Myron, that's not even first of all, it's not melatonin and whatever it is that you just said. It's melanin and biochemistry. You can't even pronounce the word, so how you reading? How you reading, Myron?
I'm not looking at the pictures. I got the books right here. I'm looking at the pictures. You know, ain't nothing nasty about this. So what are you talking about? I got all the books right here. What are you talking about?
Myron, you don't even know how to read. Every time we get mail, you bring it to me. You think I don't know that?
I got hooked on Phoenix. Now, what you talking about? I was hooked on Phoenix, so I know how to read.
As of when? Because first of all, hooked on phonics, I believe it's for kids. There's no such thing as hooked on Phoenix. And if I recall, you're the same person that thought reindeer was pronounced reinder, and you're the same person that thought pigeon was pronounced piggion. So it makes sense that you went to hooked on Phoenix.
Man, such a dumbass.
No,
you always trying to say somebody can't read. I know exactly what I'm talking about, man. I'm reading the books. I got the book. I got the goddamn receipt right here. I got the goddamn receipt right here for the books. What you talking about?
Well, you need to return them for somebody who know how to read them. And I still don't. It's probably all type of stuff in the inside of the books, Myron. That's how sneaky you are. Give me the books. Give me the books, Myron.
Hell no.
Give me the books, Myron. Give me the books, Myron.
I'm not giving you none. I got these books on Amazon. I'm not giving you the books. Ain't that no?
Yo, well, bye. Bye.
I've been in this game. Yeah. Your animals to the shit. Animal, baby. the gods have blessed us. We must act now. We must act now to save us, to save our souls.
Okay, so let me show y'all this, right? Y'all remember we talked about this book here? Do y'all remember that conversation or series of conversations that led to the destruction of Reggie? Do y'all remember the destruction of Brother Reggie? The self-destruction of Brother Reggie? Remember we discussed this book? See how big this book is? This book is very intimidating, right? But, and let me say this. This book is the number one book of its kind, right? Well, I would say it was the number one book of its kind. I think our book is better. I think our book blows the doors off of this book. Like we listen. But I want to say this. If I did not have this book, and not just have this book, because there are people that have this book, but they haven't really lived with this book for over a decade. I've lived with this book for over a decade, right? So I've studied this book. I've read out of this book to my children, with my children. You know what I'm saying? Like my children have written in this book. You know what I'm saying? Like scribble scrap, like they done went, like this book has stains on it. Look at this. I done spilled sea moss on it. Yeah, listen, I done spilled sea moss on it. Dua and Hotep to you. But this book has a lot of limits. There's a lot of limits to this book. And even though this is the best book on the market, well, it was until we released ours, in terms of understanding Kemetic science, like health-wise, right? And I know because I have them all. Like literally, I have them all, right? So nobody will be able to pop up and go, oh, I got the Ebers papyrus, and I got the, the Cahoon papyrus, and this papyrus, and da. Bro, I gave all them things away to my students years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like when we did the living biochemistry, like we was giving away those papyri in the class to everybody. Like, yo, here, read this, study this. Here's Ebers. Do this. Like, forget about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but, I definitely stood on the shoulders of these guys and went crazy, right? Because I know everything that's missing. That's what I'm trying to get around to. Had I not studied the whole collective corpus of information inside and out, meaning from a health perspective, just in terms of modern science and understanding the body and anatomy and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, cool. Boop. That's one thing. And on the other side, I done studied and went through all of these books and blah, 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 blah. So then from a historical perspective, so what we did is legendary. What we've been able to do is legendary. It's tough. I'm telling you. It's tough. It's tough, right? But people don't even realize, like, let me show y'all something. Because I don't know if y'all understand how valuable this information is, right? Because this is probably going to change. I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to change. You see this? It's $39.99, right? And it's going to be people that's going to look and be like, man, that's expensive right there. $39.99, Doc? If you say that that's expensive, I'm going to show you that you're out of your mind, right? I'm going to show you you're out of your mind. Watch. I'm going to show you how out of your mind you are. Watch. Look. Now, that's a different type of $39.99. You see that? That's a whole different type of $39.99. You see that? That's a whole different type of $39.99. Look at this. And look at that. That's a $49.99. Yeah. So I'm trying to explain this to you. We killed this. We killed this. Because this is a lot of information, but it's very random. It's very random. Right? So I think that we killed this. Right? I think we killed this. I think we killed this. Like, the era of that book is over. A new era has begun. No, see, listen, listen, I'm telling you, bro, it's not that, listen, it's not that it's wicked. It's not that it's wicked. I'm going to tell you, listen, y'all don't understand the value of these books, right? This book here, just any of these books, right? This book here might be $15, right? This might be $15. This book might be like 20 or 30 bucks, right? This book probably, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks. I don't know, somewhere in that. The information that's in these books, the information that's in these books is the information that creates entire civilizations. So it's not about, all right, so let's just think about it from a business standpoint, because most people, they judge success by money, right? The thing to do is to be an entrepreneur, right? At least for most people, that's the thing to do. They want to be an entrepreneur, right? So it's always, you know, how can I do something that makes money? Or they're watching to see what other people are doing, and then they want to get into that. Oh, people are making a lot of money selling real estate. I'm going to learn how to sell real estate. People are making online internet, you know, funnels or whatever they're doing. Amazon audio books. They're making audio books. You know, whatever. So they're doing. An entrepreneur is a thing. That's cool. But an entrepreneur fits into an industry. Right? In an industry, you have millions of entrepreneurs. Right? So it's one thing to be an entrepreneur and create a business. It's another thing to create an industry where you create the opportunity for millions of people to become entrepreneurs. When you create an industry, you create a space for a bunch of entrepreneurs. Why do you think there's so many people that follow and copy what it is that we do on the internet? I created these guys. I'd just be looking for thanks, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'd just be looking for thanks, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Because what you see on the internet as a holistic healer didn't exist before me. Dr. Sebi didn't create it. Dr. Africa didn't create it. Right? You didn't have anybody with like up-to-date clothes and lingo and talking about music and doing exercise and mixing exercise and herbs and cutting edge science and anatomy and biochemistry. They didn't do none of that. It just was like, oh, Dr. Africa is melanin and herbs. Dr. Sebi, just herbs and food. Like it was very different. So when I came out, standing on their shoulders, not diminishing them in any capacity, because if they didn't exist, I wouldn't exist, right? But created something brand new, right? For the new generation, for the time of now, right? So you have levels to it. You know what I'm saying? You could create a business, or you could create an industry, right? Then you can scale up, right? You scale up. You can create a whole entire resource. A resource is beyond the industry. Because a resource is something that allows people to create multiple industries, and each one of those industries then will create multiple entrepreneurs, or at least create the opportunity, right? So this is the reason why the information is so valuable. We throw around terms a lot that we don't really understand the impact of. It's one thing to understand the definition. It's another thing to understand the impact, right? It's one thing to understand a concept. It's another thing to understand impact. So we go, ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt, they created math and science and blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Do you understand what that means? And do you know how they did it? Because what I've been saying for years is we're wasting time looking back if we're not replicating. It don't make sense to go, oh yeah, my ancestors did that, but what can you do? It's like people looking at Michael Jordan kids, right? Or they looking at Bronny. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, okay, good. Your pops was Michael Jordan, but what are you doing? You're like a low level cokehead. Like you're a degenerate. You're not replicating the feat. You're not taking the bar to another level. And it doesn't have to be in basketball. Like you could be amazing at something else. But the bar is set at amazing. The bar is set at amazing. So where's your amazingness at? Right? What are the Kemetic scholars doing if they're not finding ways for you to, in real time, share in that greatness? You don't share in the greatness by saying, oh yeah, I can't prove that we're from these people, but I think we're from these people, and yeah, we did some stuff first. All right. What you doing right now, though? Like Rakim said, it ain't where you from, it's where you at. It ain't where you from, it's where you at. Right? And that's not even Kemetic science. Right? Kemetic science, like getting lost in the past is not Kemetic science. Just in case. And we talk about that in the book. Right? We talk about that in the book. The idea was to become yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. What does yesterday, today, and tomorrow mean as one phrase? What does yesterday, today, and tomorrow mean as one phrase? Right? I'll tell you. Egyptologists, right? Egyptologists have converted this into the idea of immortality. Yeah, so the Egyptians, there's really no such a thing as Egyptians, but we have to play with that word. We have to use that terminology sometimes, right? The Egyptians, right? They was about immortality, right? No, that's not what they was trying to attain, right? The weighing of the heart ceremony, those things is not to attain immortality, right? Immortality is a gift. You already got that. You can't attain something you already have. That's a gift. Remember, I told you that science, modern science, is Kemetic religion, right? Modern science already told you. You learned that in like 2nd or 3rd grade. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. So a part of you is immortal. So they weren't trying to attain that. There's another term, right? So when you say trying to become yesterday, today, and tomorrow, that is immortal, right? But that's not exactly what the attainment was, right? The goal was to become timeless. The goal was to become timeless, to operate outside the confines of time and space. That was the goal, right? That's why Masonry was so important. And there's so many levels to Masonry that people haven't got to because the culture of Masonry has died out for the most part. The culture of Masonry has died out, meaning the culture of Masonry got so big, right? So big that people wanted to become Masons and Eastern Stars for strictly social purposes. And while the gathering of the masses facilitated the real work of the inner initiates, eventually those people died off, and all you have is gathering of masses and people getting fat and collecting dues and checks and stuff like that. Right. And then pretty soon it becomes a collective, and people just using social favor for nefarious reasons. And the whole idea, the original purpose, the original concept that Imhotep embodied. Imhotep, right? Because you have Ptah, but Ptah is not necessarily a person, right? Imhotep is the embodiment. Imhotep is the Michael, the LeBron, right? He's the greatest of all time in terms of what a Mason is, right? And he was not only a Mason, but he was also a doctor. That in and of itself is the most important thing to communicate about Imhotep. That all of your Kemetic scholars will miss. All of your Masonic historians, they'll miss that part. They'll miss that part. They'll miss the part that Imhotep was a Mason, and not just a Mason in terms of the spiritual, esoteric kind of idea that people have, right? And initiations and rituals and things like that. But real-time builder, real-time worker of stone, right? But also a doctor at the same time. That's what the spirit of Kemetic science is, because there's no other thing more important than building than your mind and body. There is no other thing more important than your mind and body. Now, a lot of us, because we have become the culture vultures, we are lost. We are the lost tribe of whoever. Shabazz, Israel, you name it. We're the lost flock, right? So we're stuck following after false gods, false teachings, and other people. We're stuck being the culture vulture. We have no choice. Or at least we didn't have a choice. We didn't have a roadmap how to get back to our own thing. We didn't even know what our own thing was. 90% of our people are still running around thinking that chakras are their own thing. Yeah, I'm not into religion. You know, I'm spiritual. So what does that mean? Or you playing with them chakras? You doing that? And studying and talking about ancient Egypt, a fairy tale thing that never even really existed. There's no such thing as ancient Egypt. Egypt is a Greek thing. So you playing in fantasy land, and your idea of ancient Egypt, which is Kemet, is actually the opposite of anything that you're learning from anywhere else. But we don't study. We become a non-reading group of people. So if you go into the Indian stuff, right? The Indian information is part of the reason why we have such a big transgender movement in our society right now. That's how we wind up with an Indian person running for president, calling themselves black. That's how that happens. Because the seeds and the ideas have already been planted in your mind. The seeds and the ideas have already been planted in your mind. You don't understand that. You don't understand how that works because we're not spending time studying how the mind works, how the brain works, and how the brain interfaces with the mind. So we don't know when people are playing with ours. Why do you think I spent the time to show you Billy Carson and all these guys, right? They are coming with the Aleister Crowley movement. But then went deeper to show you the Aleister Crowley movement is not really what you think. The Aleister Crowley movement, like y'all are looking for somebody to draw. See, and that's how TV programs you. But you don't realize the Aleister Crowley movement is in control of your Hollywood. So they have you looking over there when you should be looking over here. You're waiting to see somebody draw a 5-pointed star on the ground and light up candles and spill blood around. Like you waiting for that. So because you're programmed with that and you have people taking advantage of you, you think that's what it is. That's not what it is. All this alien talk is Aleister Crowley. All of this alien talk is Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley did a ritual and invented the Greys. Listen to what I'm telling you. All this Greys and little green Martians and all that, this was invented because a ritual works in your mind. I keep trying to explain this to you. Time, space, light, sound, movement all happen here. Rituals here, initiations here. This is what they work on. Let me show you something. Let me see if I could show you something real quick. maybe this might jog. Let me see if I could find it. Because they don't like people to discuss this. So if the videos start getting crazy, you're gonna know why. Look at this. You see what's on your screen right now? Hold on, this ain't what should be on your screen. This ain't what should be on your screen. Boom. You see this? You see what's on your screen now? Now you see what's on your screen. That's an invention of Aleister Crowley's at a ritual. He did a ritual with all of the stuff that you're thinking of, and then he created a demon in the ritual. The demon's name is Lamb, like the Lamb of God, Lamb. And then he drew out Lamb. He created the demon in the ritual, and then he drew a picture of him. And got all his followers, right, to breathe life into this picture. All of the followers to breathe life into the picture. This is why certain religions, listen to this. I want y'all to understand this. This is when I have these type of conversations, I feel like I'm supposed to walk away with like $100,000 worth of cash apps. Like, y'all, this is how I know people don't understand the value of this information. He does this ritual, draws up the picture, right? And then gets his initiates, his followers, to breathe life into the picture. This is why certain religions do not allow idol worship. It's not that, you got to think, because a lot of these guys, especially the Israelites, most of the Israelites are ignorant Christians. They don't really know what they're talking about. They're just very passionate about what they're saying, right? So they make for comedy sometimes, even though my heart goes out to them, right? God, the creator of the universe. Why would God, the creator of the universe and everything in it, why would he be worried about you worshiping an idol? Why would he created you and whatever idol, why would he be worried about you worshiping an idol? Now, if you listen to one of these goofy guys like Billy Carson, right? Billy Carson just brought a global Satanist on his platform. I had like a zillion people texting me like, yo, Billy Carson done brung this guy on who's an expert in blah, 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 blah. No, he just has an accent. So people who are lost for their own language are infatuated with accent. Accent means authority because language means authority. And we don't have a language. So anybody that has an accent, we think they some type of genius. You got to relax. The scientific reason, see, people don't understand that Bible is Kemetic, watered down Kemetic science. So if you don't understand science, you cannot understand the Bible. The reason why certain religions don't allow you to have idol worship is because they understand creation. The Bible starts off created with the word. God created the world with the word. God created the world with an idea. He spoke it into existence. So you have to be able to guard your mind. So in order to make sure that you don't speak into existence something that will eventually come back to bite you on the tail, No idol worship. Because you will create something and you'll breathe life into it. And then it'll be living. This is the reason why there's a such thing as hieroglyphs. And the hieroglyphs are etched into stone so that they could live outside of time and space. Because every generation that learns what those stones mean is going to breathe life into those stones. And then those stones will resonate with the frequencies that they were created with. And that will in turn feed the people. So there's a resonant loop between a people genetically tied to those people through those stones. In the papyri, it says that the gods have to continue breathing in order for them to continue living through the stones. So when the Europeans that didn't know what they was doing, they get their hands on this stuff, what do? The first thing is, in order to kill your god or all of your gods, they start etching off the noses, because the nose is the hall, right, that leads to the home of the gods. So it's very important to be able to continue breathing. This is why there's an opening of the mouth ceremony, blah, 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 right? The most important hieroglyph is Nefer, right? Nefer is what? A windpipe and a heart. The breath, right? So they thought they were killing your gods by destroying all the noses. They didn't know what they was doing, right? Anyway, Aleister Crowley, though, does this ritual and creates a guy that he says is from another place, another dimension, right? People translate another dimension to outer space, right? But he circulates around this drawing to all his followers. Now, Jack Parsons, one of his most devoted students, is one of the founders of NASA. He's the guy behind creating all these big antennas around the world so they can broadcast. You don't even know what they're broadcasting. We know they said they went to the moon in 1969, but we also know that technology gets better every year. So if they went to the moon in 1969, we would have definitely been able to go comfortably to the moon in 79. Oh, we would have been quadruply comfortable by 1989 on the moon. And by 1999, we should have been taking Ubers back and forth to the crib. We should have had a separate, it should look like the Jetsons. We should have colonized the whole, there should be vacation villas on the moon by now. It's almost 60 years later. What does that tell you? They haven't been going to the moon. They haven't been going out of space. So what has the trillions of dollars been going to every year? Projecting signals into your brains. What signals is that? Good question. That's why you need to get those books. So you have Jack Parsons, and then Jack Parsons has a partner. His partner is L. Ron Hubbard. What does L. Ron Hubbard do? L. Ron Hubbard creates an alternative religion. And that religion is everywhere. You just don't know where it's at. But most of the actors in Hollywood, they deep into Scientology. The Nation of Islam, forget about it. Nation of Islam? The pro-black militant brothers? Yeah, man. Scientology. They teaching Aleister Crowley information now. And what is the Aleister Crowley information? It's about getting into your mind and messing around in there. That's what it is. Getting into your mind and then messing around in there. Yeah. Find a way to create an apple. Find a way to create an apple. Put the poison in the apple. Everybody loves an apple. So find something, find some truth, and put the worm in it. What's the worm? There's a virus. A virus for your physical body or a virus for your information body, like a computer virus. Put the virus in the middle of the apple. The apple is nutritious, it's sweet, it's delicious. The virus is in there. So when you think you're going into some spiritual science because you study in India, you don't realize that it's a virus in there. That's counter to Kemetic science. That's not the same. But see, once you get turned out, once you become a spiritual whore, you can't tell up from down. It's like a prostitute. She having sex. She has sex for a living. Man after man after man after man. So it just becomes an act. It's empty. Just becomes an act. It's empty. So you know, she starts to think that it's just the same thing. Each man is just sex. It's the same thing. You know, hey, take it from the front, take it from the back. You know, put it in my mouth, put it in my ear, whatever. Beat me, pee on me, whatever. How much you paying? Yeah. That's how we became with religion and spirituality. So most people now, they say, oh, well, the religions are all saying the same thing, but they're using different language. No. That's because you're not going to the core of the surface. You're not going beyond the surface level. You don't really understand what's going on there. Prime example. India, the core of their teaching is transhumanism. The core of their teaching is inviting demons into their body to subdue their body, to separate their spirit from their flesh, because their core teaching is that their spirit is imprisoned in their flesh. That's not Kemetic science. That's not Kemetic science. But that's where people get these ideas they're promoting. Oh, I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. What? You're not a spiritual being having a physical experience. You're confused. You're a confused being having a confused experience. Yeah. See, the Bible and Kemet both tell you the same thing. You made from the dirt. God blew the breath of life in you. So you have a seed planted in the soil. You're the soil, the holy land. That's you. Seed planted in there. That's your heart, your mind, your soul, right? You have the opportunity to grow. You have the opportunity to grow. But think, how can a tree grow without no roots? Right? Y'all into tree of life talk, Kabbalah. Oh, we studying Kabbalah. How you studying Kabbalah? What are you doing? What are you talking about? Do you know what that is? Oh yeah, I'm getting into it though. I'm getting into it because my man that put me on to the zodiac and the chakras, he put me on to the Kabbalah. So I'm studying chakras and Kabbalah. I'm spiritual. No, you are a confused consumer. You're a confused consumer. Consumer. Yeah, consumer. Trick the black-headed people. Consumer. That's what you are. Trick the black-headed people. Consumer. That's the whole concept behind saying that the word was made flesh. That's the whole concept behind understanding Usir, Asar. That's the concept behind understanding life. That's the concept behind having a soul and a spirit, or a ka, a ba, a ak, a akhu, a sahu. You know, you can grow and develop like a tree. A tree grows from a, sprout, sapling, right? Stages of development. If you remove the roots, how does the tree grow? I'll tell you. Diseased. It grows sick. It grows diseased. And it has no concept of self, which is the reason why we're leading in what? Cancer, diabetes, STD, autoimmune, you name it. We at the top of the charts. The roots are gone. The roots are gone. So one of the things we wanted to do in the book is restore the roots. Right? One of the things we wanted to do in the book was restore the roots. Right? So in the book, there's a lot of let me show you where this came from. Right? There's a lot of that. Like, let me show you where this came from. Right? So let me give you an example. We've been talking for an hour and I haven't went to the chart to the whiteboard one time yet. I hope y'all been praying. I hope y'all have the prayer memorized. If you don't have the prayer memorized, I know you playing. I know you playing around with this information. If you don't have the prayer memorized, like if you still need to read it out of a book or you still need to listen to the video, you playing with this information. I'm trying to explain to you in every way possible. Kemetic science was about this. This is the temple. This is the temple right here. This is the temple. This is the temple. This is the temple. When people are telling you that the netters or the Neteru was about the creative forces of the universe, creative of what? Creative of what? Creative of asteroids? Creative of what? Creative of life. Life, the most complex thing in the universe, is you. So in order to understand the creative forces that created you, you can't tangible. The creative forces are not tangible. You cannot reach up and grab the sun. You can't even grab sun rays. You can't even hold them in your hand. When the sun rays bathe your body, you can't catch none in your hand. But what you can do is study your hand. Because you know that the forces that created the universe are acting through you. They built you. You're the temple created without the sound of a hammer. You. Your skeleton is the philosopher's stone. Think about it. It's the living rock. Your skeleton is the living rock. It's living. Your skeleton, it's a living rock. It grows on its own. Just like crystal, you see the big crystals, you get awed and enamored when you see these folks go into caves and they take big pictures next to big crystals. Like, oh my God, how did those crystals get so big? Ask yourself, how did your bones get that big? The answer is the same. The same forces that are creating those crystals are the same forces that are creating your skeleton. You just don't understand it. And again, because it's me giving it to you, you probably don't have the correct value for it. Now, in fact, I know you don't. Because I should be able to do one of these videos and retire. Everybody should be hitting the Cash App, sharing the video. Should be 10 million people on each one of these videos after I do the video. Should go through the roof. Everybody on earth should see the video. Because everybody you know is being taken advantage of. At the Christian church, at the Muslim, the masjid, right? Or they're listening to Kemetic scholars, or they got somebody telling them they're doing some chakra stuff, or they tree of life in it and blah, 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 blah. Bro, what are you doing with that? Those ain't Rolex diamonds. What you done to that? What is that? What is that? Now, if you don't know better, that's cool. If you don't know the real information, then all right, cool. God takes care of fools and babies, right? So if you've been misled and you believe in chakras and the Easter bunny and all that, there's no harm, no foul. But once you come into contact with the real science, now you know better. So now if you continue to go backwards, now you can be held accountable, and not by me, spiritually. Right? So let's start our conversation with the tree of life with this guy. Let's start the conversation with this guy. Is it this light that's in the way? No, it's not this light that's in the way. It is this light that's in the way. There you go. Hopefully you can see better. Let's see if I crack these blinds. Would that help you? Doesn't look like it will because it is January in Michigan. Okay, and my blinds are doing their own thing right now. There you go. Okay, yeah. Opening the blinds did nothing. All right. The Green Man, right? The original Green Man is none other than Wuxia. I don't feel like that's really giving y'all doing any justice. Oh, maybe it's my computer screen. Okay, there it goes. My brightness was turned down on my computer screen, so y'all can't see good. Okay. So we start here, right? The Green Man, right? The Green Man is the first Christ, right? When and never. Okay. This marker might need to be laid to rest. Let's see if my red is on. Okay, we work with this red. Right? First Green Man, Wuxia, when and never is the first Christ. Now, what does that mean? right? What does that mean? Remember, we talked about it earlier. It's one thing to understand a definition or a concept. It's another thing to understand impact. What is the impact of the statement? What is the impact of the concept? What does it mean? It means that this is the origin of anatomical study. The first Christ is the first body studied. It's the blueprint for human anatomy. That's what that means. That's what that means. Christ, anointed with oil, embalmed, mummified. The first one is the first human body dissected. The mummification process is a dissecting process. So the first body study is the blueprint for all bodies to come. The first body studied is the blueprint for all bodies to come. And the blueprint is the green man. This becomes the tree of life. Now, in the tree of life, right? Now, you can't unsee this information. You can't unsee this information. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. In the tree of life, you have what's called Metu. Just like you have the word medu, right? Metu, medu, right? This is where dew, the dew from heaven, the manna, the dew from heaven, you got to remember. See, I need you to get the impact of things. You know that the Hebrew, the Greek, the Latin, and all these different languages come from the medu nature, but you don't really understand the impact. You don't know all the words. Because you don't know the words, you don't know the impact. You don't know the programming. Right? You don't get that. So you have medu and you have metu. Right? Medu, metu. Right? Medu, metu. Now, on the surface level, now, I know some people are like, wait, Doc, there's no way we're on the surface level. We already, you already done went deep. No, we didn't. We didn't. This is on the surface level, right? On the surface level, right? These seem very different, right? But that's because, again, you have to learn the Kemetic science. People had no idea what I was doing, like Noah building the ark. Because we did the first series of books, right, was the children's biochemistry. And then after that, we did the melanin versus diabetes series of books. Then after that, we did the race hustlers books, and people got confused. They're like, okay, he went from biochemistry to fighting illnesses, and then he went to race hustlers. I'm like, no, this is still in alignment, because we go to race hustlers, we're talking about all of the people who have confused you about your anatomy. And they use your anatomy to pull on your heartstrings, pun intended, to get you to spend money on nothingness by taking you around in circles saying black this, black that, black, 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 black. Nobody even knows what black means, but you're spun in 1,000 different directions behind blackness. Meanwhile, I know that blackness is killing you. All we got to do is check the charts. Who's the number one folks dying from cancer? Black folks. What does black mean again? Wait a minute. What is cancer? We don't know how it starts or how to end it. We don't know how it starts or how to end it. We don't know what black is either, but we know who's dying. Yeah, you. Diabetes? You. Black. Yeah. So we needed a series to discuss these things, right? And then from there, we go to the Kemetic Science series. And it seemed like we're doing books in groups of 5 and 6 until we get to the Kemetic Science series, and we go book 5, book 6, then we're at book 13, then we're at book 25. People are like, yo, when is the series going to be finished? Then we're at book 35, then we're at book 50, we're at book 6. It's getting crazy, right? But the reason is because the Kemetic science is exhaustive. It was designed that way, right? It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to learn. And even now with this book, Rough Ashlar, if you understand what a rough Ashlar is, it's a beginning. And that in and of itself is Kemetic science, because there's no such thing as an ending. It's just a new beginning. There's no such thing as an ending. It's just a new beginning. So you have medu, right? On the surface, medu is speech, it's words, it's utterance, right? Talking, right? Surface. Metu, on the surface level, is your blood vessels, your lymphatic vessels, the vessels in your body, right? So without going beyond the surface level, people don't understand the connection. They know they sound just the same, because even the D, we sometimes pronounce it as a T. Yeah, you see people say that all the time. The medu netta. Oh, that's that medu netta. Whoa, sir. That's a little bit too much New Year, sir. You heard me? Yeah. So you got to go beyond the surface level with it, right? So when you go beyond the surface level with it, these are the exact same thing. When you go beyond the surface, these are the same, right? It's a conduit. Both of these, conduits, right? Both of these are conduits. The only difference between the two is this is an external conduit. This is an internal conduit. Medu is an internal conduit. This is driving me crazy. I gotta figure out how to not have that on the screen right there. That's driving me nuts. That's a little bit better. Metu is internal vessels. Medu is an external vessel, right? A word is a vessel for your thoughts, for information that you're sending out or you're receiving. Your voice is a conduit for your mind to connect with other minds, or for other minds to connect with yours. Thoughts. Jehudi. Thoughts. Right? Metu is internal. Metu is internal. So what happens when you're studying This guy, the green man, Usia, Winnenefer, the original Christ. You find out when you get into the body of Christ, that the Ebers Papyrus teaches that you have 22 of these vessels, 22 of these conduits throughout your body. I'm going to let that sit for a minute. Yeah, I'm going to let y'all deal with that for a second. Because I know y'all may not get what I just gave you. That's what I'm saying. You got to go get the book. You got to get the books. You got to get the books. Each book is preparing you for something more to come because you have to build levels of understanding. So we just did the Birds of a Feather book, right? In the Birds of a Feather book, the book opens with the story of the holy cow or the divine cow, right? After that, where do we go next? We go into the Sefer Yetzirah, right? And then from there, we go to the medu, right? Or the hieroglyphs, right? There's a reason that those are in that book. There's a reason why we had to discuss those things. The Sefer Yetzirah is the origin for the Jewish tree of life, Kabbalah, and all that. What you don't understand is that is a misinterpretation of Kemetic science. So you studying Kabbalah, you're wasting your time and money. You didn't learn nothing but gobbledygook. Listen to what I'm explaining to you. I'm trying to say it to you in multiple levels and then make it plain for you. If you study Kabbalah, you didn't do nothing but study gobbledygook. That's not real spirituality. It's not going to lead you nowhere but to a dead end because it's somebody who didn't understand what they were looking at or what they were talking about, created some mystical thing. Mystical is you don't understand it. So mystical is a great term to put to con the Sumer people. That's how you con the Sumer people. That's how you con the black-headed people. Oh, no, this is mystical. Yeah, it is mystical. So you can interpret it a variety of ways. Yeah, oh, so basically this doesn't have a meaning or a purpose. Got it. Where you get this from? Where you get this from? Because if you don't know where you got this from, that's probably where the problem started. You just knew it was important. You knew this was really important from the place you stole it from. You knew it was really powerful from the place you stole it from, but you didn't know what it was. So after a while, you couldn't figure it out. You just presented it as is. So now you got a tree of life, which is basically trying to explain all it is the anatomy, the anatomical science of Ashlar, Wusia. Because there are 22 major conduits running through your body. Now, before you get confused and say, oh, yeah, that's the same thing, but just using different language. This is not that. Because this is talking about blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, nerves, your spinal cord. This is talking about actual vessels, not gobbledygook that you can't figure out, that's not real. It's not talking about invisible balls of chakras. It's not talking about none of that. It's talking about conduits, the things that connect the heart to the lungs, the things that connect the heart to the lungs to the brain, the thing that connects the nerves that run through your body to your organs, to your muscle tissue. They didn't understand that 2,000 years ago. 99% of you people don't understand anatomy today. So how you think these people that could barely read understood it in the year 300 BC? They didn't understand this. They had no idea what the Kemetic people was talking about. They had no idea what the papyrus was talking about. So they couldn't do nothing but stand next to the stuff. Take ownership of it. Yeah, I own several papyri. How many of them do you understand? I own several papyri. I know, but how many of them do you understand? Once again, I'm the owner of several papyri. Yeah. You don't know what that is, though, do you? You don't know the difference between a kakra and a shukra. You think the origin of the word chakra is kakra when it's not. It's shukra. And shukra came from the study by foreigners of the Kemetic science, because they had the sun disk. It was like, oh, the sun disk and the tep. What is that? The tep. The first time. So the word for the origin, the first time, septepi, tep, is the word for the top of your head. We'll get into that. You get the book. When you get the book, you'll see. You'll see. You'll see what's in there. You'll see. But this right here. Now, I want y'all to understand. I have been trying to teach this information to you people for 20 years now. And I have the receipts. Look. We put this book out right here somewhere around 2005, 2009. I don't know, somewhere around then, maybe 2010 at the latest. That's when I put this book out. This is the medical. Listen, we over 70 books on Amazon, but remember, I wrote like 50 books before I even started writing on Amazon. Books that you can never even get again. But let me show you what's in this book. The name of the book is Black Genetics Pharmacia, the Medical Papyrus. I'm going to read that to you again. Black Genetics Pharmacia, the Medical Papyrus. Now, when we go, here's the first page. So this is not a new thing. I don't want y'all to be confused and be like, oh, Enqi just got on to. No. This is what it been. This is how all my herbal formulas is made off. This is how my daughter got hit by a car, broken neck, spine, and all that. This is how I fixed it. Studying the Jed pillar. Not a mystical, magical Jed pillar. Not a bundle of sticks. No, the spine. The spine. Yeah. Let me show y'all something. Go to page. Look at this. You go to page 10, this has all of the medical papyri listed and the years that they was written. Right? And then we go to the 12th page and we go to the Nile theory. And we start our conversation with the Nile theory. The Nile theory is where they disrespect the Kemetic people and try to make this into a joke ting this. They try to make this into a joke ting this. Oh, they didn't know anything about medicine and blah, blah, blah. No. Listen, we go deep in the new book. Oh, we go deep in the new book. See, we don't even leave room for people like Reggie. Look at this. Look at this. On the 13th page, look what you see on the 13th page. What does that say right there? Medical kit. Medical kit. And then I show the hieroglyphs with all of the surgical tools. Now, mind you, this book here is 15, 16 years old. This is the hieroglyphs I showed back then with all of the medical tools in it. And then I named them. The knives, the drill, the saw, the forceps, the censer, the hooks, the bags tied with the string, the beaked vessels, the vases, the scales, the herb pots, See, y'all confused. What do you think the eye of Heru is? Oh, I know. Y'all thought the eye of Heru was a chakra. Y'all thought the eye of Heru was a chakra. See, y'all don't let these people turn your whole program inside out. So now y'all running around studying chakras and kundalinis and all this other foolishness. Why would you be studying kundalini if you also studying Osiris? You're going backwards. Are you studying the jet pillar, the actual spine? Are you studying the number one metu, the most important metu, the pillar? Or are you studying how you can have anal sex and send Dragon Balls up and down to your body? Right? Are you studying with Billy Crystal and Brother Yaki while they teaching you that you got a male G-spot in your anus chakra? Or are you studying anatomy? Because that doesn't exist in anatomy. There's no male G-spot in anatomy. Now, if I'm creating a dynamic in your mind, like Aleister Crowley created the little gray aliens and drew the picture, and then sent his people to Hollywood to invest in the idea and to make the idea come alive in the minds and the hearts of the people. So now people believe there's aliens. No, there's demons. There's no aliens, there's demons. They say, no, but in the Bible, the book of Ezekiel, show me in the book of Ezekiel the little gray men. Show me in the book of Ezekiel the little gray men. You don't have that. That don't exist nowhere until Aleister Crowley creates that. No, it said the wheels of light. It was in the sky. Okay, fine. Wheels of light, one thing. Where are the little gray men? Where are the little green men? Where's that at? Exactly. Aleister Crowley created that. So you running around not understanding what this is. Because in the popular conversation, what they did was, first things first is they got rid of this number. They got rid of that number. Because if that number exists, if that number exists and you know that that number is associated with this, if you know that that number is associated with this, then immediately you go, wait a minute. The Kabbalah, hold up. The Kabbalist, these are the people that's really running the world, and they're running the world with that stuff they're doing with the Kabbalah. And when you study the Kabbalah tells you that the 22 paths, right? The 22 paths that lead from the 10 Sephirah, right? The 22 paths that lead from the 10 Sephirah is the 22 letters of the alphabet. The 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet is the 22 paths that lead from Sephirah to Sephirah. And then you done mixed it up with chakras. Like, oh, wait a minute. So they saying in the Kabbalah, these are balls of creation and the chakras is balls. And so, yeah, we having a Dragon Ball Z party. It's balls everywhere. Balls for everybody. Balls for everybody. Y'all are nuts. You don't realize that came from your science. What is the 10 Sephirah? Where did that come from? The 10 Sephirah came from Nun, Atum, Shu, Tefnut, Geb, Nut, Osiris, Isis, Set, Nephthys. The 10 deities, the 10 creative forces that are doing what? Creating the body through the 22 pathways, the 22 vessels, the 22 conduits. And you go, but wait a minute, Doc, we have way more than 22 in our body. You have more than 22 branches. You have millions, billions, they're uncountable, but they start with 22 sources. So if you look at your aorta is a huge one, but the aorta branches and branches and branches and branches and branches, and each one of the branches has its own name. So you have the 10 deities or the 10 creative forces that act through the vessels of your body. That's it. They didn't understand that. So they gave you gobbledygook. Oh, they gave you gobbledygook. And you gobbled it up. You gobbled up the goop. Oh, yeah, I'm studying Kabbalah. I'm spiritual. You running up on girls with that. Oh, yeah, shorty, what you know about the tree of life? Let's walk the tree of life. I'm going to walk you down the tree of life. Gobbledygook. You don't know no tree of life. You don't know no tree of life. Because you don't know heart anatomy. So you can't really know tree of life because you don't know heart anatomy. That's why you're supposed to memorize your prayer. Right? When you memorize your prayer, you start to learn this in the prayer. Right? We want to thank for what? What are we thanking the Most High for? For the divine spark that set our cells into perpetual motion. Right? Then we want to give thanks for the most holy, the magnetism of the most holy that repels and attracts. So we're getting the science, the magnetism of the most holy that repels and attracts our cells 60,000 miles every 60 seconds. Right? We're literally going on a journey through the vessels, the valley of death. right? That's the inferior vena cava leading to the superior vena cava into the right atrium. You want to give thanks for smooth sailing around the heart through the corona crown, joining the vortex in the right atrium, right? The ray wave on the semilunar valves, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, into the vineyard, the alveoli, right? You're learning about the body, how it actually works. That's Kemetic science. Because the vessels speak, the vessels communicate. So that's Metu and Medu. Internal communication, external communication. Right? The internal communication. This is how the heart speaks to the other organs. Because they're connected by a conduit. And the conduit is going to send nutrients, oxygen, water, blah, blah, blah. All of those things. It's going to remove urine, feces, all of those things. So you have the blueprint here. The green man, the original tree. But your roots been cut. So you everywhere. You looking to understand chi and prana. You trying to understand chi and prana. You trying to figure out chakras and this. This is why you're dying from diabetes. Because figuring out chakras is not going to help you with the diabetes. Figuring out chakras is not going to help you with the cancer. Figuring out chakras is not going to get your kidneys to work better. Figuring out chakras is not going to get the blood pressure down. Figuring this out will. Figuring out your spiritual science will. Because your spiritual science was not about a separation of the body and the spirit. Your spiritual science says that your soul grows in your physical body. Your spirit grows out of your physical body. So if you don't take care of your physical body, it is a wrap. The sons of Horus wasn't. Right? So you got the 22 vessels or conduits. You got the 10 major gods of creation. That's 32. Right? What happens at 32 degrees? What happens at 32 degrees? Water freezes at 32 degrees. Water freezes at 32 degrees. At 32 degrees, you can see the structure of water. At 32 degrees, you can see the face of the deep. This is how I could tell you that masonry is Kemetic science. This is how I could tell you masonry is biochemistry. Why can't anybody else tell you that masonry is based on biochemistry? Because they don't know where masonry comes from. That's number one. They don't know biochemistry. That's number two. They have never studied biochemistry. So they don't know biochemistry if you sit it on their nose. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know what it smells like, feels like. They don't know what biochemistry is. So they can't. If they was a Mason for 100 years and they studied every Masonic book and every Masonic text, they would never be able to associate it with biochemistry because they don't know what biochemistry looks like. You have Kemetic scholars. They could be, I don't care if they're 1,000 years old. I don't care if they was born in Egypt. Well, I done visited Egypt 175 times. How many times have you visited a medical school? You visited Egypt 175 times. How many times have you visited a medical school? You've been to Egypt 1,000 times. What do you know about the per Ankh? What do you know about the per Ankhs? Nothing. Crickets. Quiet. Quiet. You don't know anything about the per Ankhs. It's quiet. You know about the Library of Alexandria, but you don't know about Darius. Why you don't know about Darius? Because you ain't been studying the Elephantine letters. You don't know what those is. You don't even know where the island of Elephantine is. You don't know what that is. If you know what that is, then you can't mix this stuff up. You would never be wasting your time talking about chakras and this one and that one and the other. So this is a new year. It's an opportunity for a new you. New year, new you. Well, how do we do a new year, new you? We have a change of mind. How do we have a change of mind? We start with studying a brand new language. Yeah. New year, new you. You start with studying a brand new language. Yeah. That's how we do that.
Myron!
Man!
Myron!
What?
What are you doing? What you doing?
What you talking about? What am I doing?
You reading them nasty books again, right, Myron?
Everybody read no nasty books, man. You scared the hell out of me. What you talking about, man? Wait, I ain't did that in about 2 weeks.
You called yesterday too. What you reading? What you reading?
You scared the goddamn book, man. Dr. Enqi. I went on Amazon and got 3 Dr. Enqi books because I'm reading about melatonin and biochemistry.
What is, Myron, that's not even a, first of all, it's not melatonin and whatever it is that you just said. It's melanin and biochemistry. You can't even pronounce the word, so how you reading? How you reading, Myron?
I found my glasses, Chloe. Okay. Let me do this here. Let's do this here. Let's go on ahead and let's take a look real quick. What? Only because your finger look crazy. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at this real quick. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Is that getting bigger on the screen? Okay, perfect. Do you see this hieroglyph right here? Do you see that hieroglyph right there? You know the impact of that hieroglyph? Because I done had these conversations over the last few decades. And I'm talking about nobody has been able to stand in front of me with this information. Nobody. I blow their doors off. You know, the sperm cell is the smallest cell in the human body. The sperm cell is the smallest cell in the human body. So what does this mean right here? What's the impact of this? This is a hieroglyph. This is Kemetic science right here. This is what your ancestors left you. This is Kemetic science. What does this mean right here? What does that mean right there? That means what? I'm going to tell you what it means. Here's the impact. This is what I told you. Entrepreneur, industry, resource. Entrepreneurs, industry, resource. That means that in Kemet, they invented microscopes. Not only did they invent microscopes, but they invented microbiology. Listen, you got to understand the impact. If they create a microscope, listen, strong enough to magnify the sperm cell, right? Listen to this. First of all, what you got to understand is the thoughts have to be present before the actions. What I mean is, see, we got to unpack this so you can understand the impact. This is why I'm saying our book is way better than Rune Yord's book. Rune Yord has a collection of a lot of information, but it's not synthesized well. His grammar, he doesn't have as much as typos. His grammar is perfect. There's no typos and run-on sentences. You'll find plenty of those in my book. But the information, nowhere else on earth. What this means is they had to already understand that the body is composed of cells. If you go into a medical school somewhere, they're going to tell you that they didn't know about cells in Kemet. They're going to tell you they didn't know about cells in Kemet. But we have this. We have that. So clearly we knew about cells, because otherwise there would be no reason for us to get a lens that can magnify something to be able to search, to identify what the individual units that makes up this fluid. First of all, we have to understand that the semen is a life-giving fluid, and that the fluid is composed of smaller units, and that those smaller units, the cells, is the actual life-giving substance to then say, hey, we got to further research this. Let's get our magnifying glasses and magnify this fluid so we can find out what the individual units are. And you can't just use any old magnifying glass, because you can go to your supermarket or your hardware store and get a magnifying glass. That's not going to magnify semen to the point where you can correctly identify how it looks. You have to create a really strong magnifying glass. You have to create a microscope powered to be able to identify that. And so once I have lenses powerful enough to magnify the smallest cell in the human body, that means what? That means I can identify every other single cell in the human body. Look. Huh? This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Listen, y'all so lost. Watch this. Let me go back to something. We're gonna bring it back. Let's bring it back. Let's slow it down and let's bring it back. Okay. Let's slow it down and let's bring it back. Look at the book cover. On the book cover, it has two of my favorite glyphs, two of my favorite hieroglyphs. Look at this guy right here. What is this? What is that doing right there? Nobody for the life of me, nobody for the life of you, nobody wants to identify what that is right there. Nobody. Yo, I've been laughing I've been laughing my behind off for 20 years at that one picture. You have a jed pillar with arms. You have a jed pillar with arms holding up over top of it a floating mitochondria. What? What is that? What is that? What is that doing there? Like how? What is that? I don't know. Ancient Kemet, they didn't know. They didn't have no microscopes. The Germans invented the microscope. They didn't have no cells. They didn't know about cells. The Germans invented the cells. They didn't know about blood vessels and anatomy. The Germans invented that. They invented it all, huh? They invented it while reading the papyri. That's what they was doing. Yeah. Think. Wakey, wakey. How is it that you get a German language? How do you, forget German. How do you get a Greek language? How do you get a Syriac language? How do you get a Hebrew language? How do you get an Arabic language? And they're all using an alphabet that comes from the medu. Okay, here's a better question. People existed, right? Think this way. Arabic people come from the quote unquote Middle East, right? Arabic people come from the Middle East and they speak Arabic, right? Well, there were people in the Middle East before the Arabic language. So what were they speaking? Better yet, forget about what they were speaking. What God were they worshiping? Why do you think the Greeks built into Christianity Jesus? Jesus. Jesus. Because the Greeks built Christianity with the Greek language. So, of course, built into the Greek language, the Savior is going to be Greek, the Greek God. So even though we give you an idea on the surface level of another God attached to another God, the real idea of Greek is to uphold the Greek tradition of Zeus. And so through the vessel, the conduit of Jesus, Zeus has come into 2024. Zeus is living outside of time and space. Zeus is living in a timeless, because the tradition, the ritual has kept Zeus alive to right now. Churches were filled up. It's New Year's. Church is going to be filled up today. They're going to be praising Zeus like nobody's business. Yeah. And at the end of praising Zeus, they're going to say amen. Listen, because you're not paying attention. What do we talk about here, right? Investing your time, paying attention, right? Investing your time, paying attention. What are you investing your time paying attention to? Because you got to get a return on your investment. What have you invested your time paying attention to? What's the return on the investment? I don't have time to pay attention to other things because I am so deeply invested in what we have going on. This whole time, I spent 18 hours a day working on this book. 18 hours a day. And that's with my children helping me. So they strong arm me. That's why their names is literally on the cover of the book. They was like, nah, Dad, you better make sure you give us our proper respect because this is crazy. And I'm trying to explain this to them. I'm like, nah, y'all don't understand. This is the ultimate high-level flex. Like, no, Dad, this is boring. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, this is a flex. It's a guarantee that none of your classmates, right? Because I got babies in every school. I got babies in elementary school, babies in middle school, babies in high school. I'm like, none of your friends can say that they spent their vacation reinventing a dead ancient language so that they could save modern day people from all of the various epidemics of premature death. I'm like, that is a super flex. You don't realize this is an insane, this lives outside the bounds of time and space. Forever you'd be able to, this is a flex right here. This is not a, I have to do, this is I get to do. Yeah. So at first they was like, then they got excited. I couldn't stop them from going. Once they got into it. Yeah. They realized because see, there's a part of you that craves this. There's a part of you that craves this. There's a part of your children that craves this. You can't remove a plant from its soil without the plant starting to die. Even if you put it in another soil that's fertile, it's still going to crave that soil. And that's just removing it from the soil. We're not talking about cutting the roots off. The Arabic language spread through Islam. The Greek language spread through Christianity. The Jewish language spread through Judaism. The French language spread through business. The German language spread through science. This is a reason why you don't have a place in the culture, in the framework of society, because you haven't breathed life back into your language. Every aspect of life has a different language that it goes with. Latin is a dead language. How come Latin is still alive today? Because in order for you to go to law school or to go to medical school, you got to study Latin. Because the laws and the anatomy is dealt with in, put mine, save me for later. The laws and the anatomy is in Latin. So you got to study Latin to get through medical school or law school. You're going through business school, all that. The word government is a French term. So it depends on where you at in society. You have to operate through these different languages. And you don't have to know them fluently, but you have to know them enough to get through whatever. Sure. The English language is not a real language. It's a trick. The English language is a trick. It's not a real language. English is 52% French and 48% German. England does not have a language. England is not a group of people. England is a place. It's not a people. And people don't have an indigenous language. They do, but it's just not English. It's not England. These are the German people. So these people from England are divided into two sets of people, the French people and the Germans. So because the people of England are mixed German and French, the language is what? German and French. That's English. So I've been fighting this battle alone, all by myself, for decades. Now I got you guys, but some of y'all be lazy. Y'all not sharing the videos. Y'all not sharing the books. People, quiet on the set. Thank you. And close my door. And unplug that thing from the boys' room. Yeah. No. Quiet on the set. I don't need you to say to do something. I just need you to do it. Thank you. Yeah, it's not an environment conducive to live streams. Well, what can I do? Look, my babies bring me these things. These are the best things I got from Christmas, you know. Hugs. Right? Hugs. But y'all have to share this information because nobody's giving this. This information doesn't exist anywhere else. This is the melanin versus diabetes movement. This is the ministry. This is the minister turned doctor. Minister turned doctor, but still minister. Right? So they're going to tell you, because they're trying to do their thing. They're trying to build up their thing. And building up their thing means that they actually have to deny the existence of your thing. Hold on. My name is Minister Enqi. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin versus Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. So they're going to tell you that we didn't understand how the body works. We invented how the body works. We invented the understanding that inside your body there are tubes that are carrying the water, carrying the blood, carrying the oxygen, carrying the electricity. Yeah, we invented that. We invented the science that your body is made out of cells. We invented that. You know how you don't know that? Because you haven't studied the real language. You only paying attention to these goofballs on the internet. Why would Casual, aka Smash Rockwell, Why would he need to plagiarize my material? Think about it. I'm the guy from the Bronx with the gold teeth. Yeah. They don't get it. I wear my golds in my mouth. Right? I wear my golds in my mouth. Because the God of the Bible, just like the God in Kemet, created the word through the spoken. So God, goals, it's okay. Why would he need to plagiarize my material? Because these guys is not studying Kemetic science. They're fooling you. They're fooling you. If they were studying Kemetic science, they would not be trying to deal with hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs is not for the people. Hieroglyphs is for silent study. Hieroglyphs for you to build the mind. You're supposed to study the actual language. And in studying the language would bring you around to this. Because this is all they were doing. This is what they were doing in Kemet. Period. Studying the body, making monuments, statues, artworks on the body. Don't get it lost watching all these goofball YouTube channels about, oh, the ancient Egyptians were masters of acoustic resonance. And with the acoustic resonance in ancient Egypt, they was able to build the pyramids. And because they was levitating the rocks, you're getting goofy. You're attracted to mystical goofballery. Stop being attracted to mystical goofballery. Wait a minute, Doc. So are you saying that they wasn't studying the acoustics? Of course they was. But they were studying the acoustics here. They learned it here and here first. And they externalized what they learned here and here. Of course they studied the acoustics. The most important study in Kemetic science is the heart. Hello? What do we call an echo chamber? Hello? An echo chamber is here. Starts here. Everything starts right here with the heart. Light and sound right here at the heart. Light, sound, electricity right here at the heart. So once we know that the heart is at the heart of things, the heart is at the heart of the study, then we know at the heart of the study is what? Light, sound, electricity. Light, sound, electricity. This is why you have what? Horus and Set, right? You got Horus and Set pulling, tugging, right? Tugging on what? Nefer. The windpipe and the heart. You have opposites, binary. You have electric and magnetic. Tug of war with the heart. Boom, 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 boom. Even the heartbeat itself tell you it come in twos, pairs, binary coding. So when you study in the heart, you're studying light, electricity, and sound. And magnetism, right? That's why they teach you that Geb is the protector of the armpits. We've been taught about the armpits. The armpits are stinky and yucky, and so that's a violation. Like, hold up, Geb got violated. Geb got the armpits. Like, that's crazy. No, because if you look up any medical text, modern day, the first place that you're having a heart attack, if you have sudden funny feelings in your left arm, like, oh, wait a minute, you might be having a heart attack. Women dealing with breast cancer. I got the BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene. You might want to watch that deodorant that you're putting on your armpit, because the armpit, it might contribute to your breast cancer. What's the armpit? Man, that's a conduit to my That's a direct conduit to my. You watch the old school karate movies, they teach you how to, the masters built up the diamond body, and the only way you could kill them was to get them in the perineum, the armpits, or the soles of the feet. That's the only place where they was weak at. Or you had to get them in the eyeball, right? These are the Chinese movies. Used to come on Channel 5 25 years ago. Geb, protector of the armpits. Magnetism of the heart. Coming out the armpits. Now we got machines that can measure that stuff. Now we got machines that can measure this stuff. So now it's no longer a matter of, is Enqi making this stuff up? No. Now it's just a matter of you remembering that Enqi been saying this for 20 years already. I took all the arrows and the knives in my back to prove it. I got the scars. The problem is now those scars are trophies. And now all the people that shot the arrows, all the people that did the stabbing, now those actions in and of themselves have turned into scars, because now you're on the record. Now you're on the record saying whatever type of crazy talk. You know how to filled up whole cemeteries killing these guys, right? So now you're on the record saying all this crazy stuff. And the pictures can speak 1,000, 1,000,000 words, right? Because I put the pictures up. You gotta go, what is this? Right? What's this? What is this shin thing? Right? What is the shin? Right? Because when I'm talking this stuff I'm talking about, you're like, yo, Enqi, you making that stuff up because we don't know that the shin has anything to do with DNA. We don't know that the wasp scepter has anything to do with the aorta. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Do you understand why they use pictures? you know why they use pictures? More than half of the hieroglyphs doesn't make a sound. It's just there to look at it. I would say probably like more than 80% of it. So they go, oh yeah, these are ideograms and these are phonemes. You know, the ideogram and the phoneme. The phoneme is a hieroglyph that has a sound associated with it. The ideograms, they don't have a sound. These are just determinatives. They done created all these fancy terms and languages and grammatical rules and all this stuff to basically bar you from learning what this stuff is. Oh, this is an ideogram and it doesn't have a phoneme attached to it, so there's no phonetic function. You know, they getting into all these long German words. Yeah, long German and French words to bar you from getting to your words. Because you don't understand it's a process of building the mind. Because now we become lazy, we don't build our minds. We don't want to do that. I still get people every day like, yo, Enqi, when you gonna make audiobooks? I'm like, never. Audiobook goes against what we're doing. You're not building your mind, listen to audiobook. You might as well go back to listening to Drake and Kendrick. Yeah, just turn back on the Drake and the Kendrick. Don't waste your time over here. We're building the mind. See, When you understand masonry is continuing the lineage of Kemetic science, then you understand the purpose of having to commit stuff to memory. And in masonry, I know most of y'all have never been a mason or Eastern Star or anything like that. When you join up, right, you have to memorize whole chapters of books. And when I say memorize, you got to know them word for word. Like you can't just read a chapter. That's not going to get you through in masonry. You can't just watch a video on it. Now, after you memorize it and you pass your test or whatever, then you can forget it or whatever the case may be, at least to a certain extent. But you have to memorize whole chapters of books. What's the purpose of that? To build the mind, which is what you had to do back in Kemet, which is why you recite, you repeat, you repeat things over and over and over and over and over, so you commit them to memory. When you commit them to memory, you bring them into your mind's eye. So now you can see it with your eyes closed. Now that you can see it with your eyes closed, because you have a description, words. So, okay, so listen, there's two parts to a story, right? There's the story, the narrative, and then there's the words that you use to represent the narrative. Most of the hieroglyphs don't make sounds because they're just there to build the mind. They're there to create mental imagery so that you can think and speak and do. You study the imagery silently, like how you was in elementary school. Hey, everybody, it's going to be 20 minutes of silent reading. That's what that's for. So the medu wasn't for the people to learn and speak. The medu was for the stones. The medu was for the stones. That's what medu is for. Medu is for stones. That's why I don't understand how I get people to, oh, the Kemetic people wasn't Masons. I'm like, are you insane? Are you insane? They literally have a whole language that's only 4 rocks. Yeah, they got a whole language they made. The most complex language on earth is made just for rocks. What do you mean they weren't Masons? They invented that too. Just like biology, just like biochemistry, just like anatomy, just like physiology, they invented all those things. Yeah, they invented the language to go into the rocks of mostly pictures. So that way you could just look at it and see what it is. Look at this. And then they attach a story to it. So you know what it do. So you know what it looked like and you know what it do. You know what it looks like and you know what it does. Now build your mind. Build your mind now and go create something. Build your mind and go create something now. You see the picture. Here's a story associated with it. Here is the animating energies that go along with it. Because in the story, it goes with the picture. We're going to give you the animating energies, the gods, the netters. Yeah. Here are the animating forces associated with this. Now go get crazy. Do your thing. Go do your thing. This is how I figured out the chakras was foolishness. It started with me with the Aya Heru. Because that was the most popular chakra. It's still the most popular chakra on earth. I'm like, yo. I'm mind blown. I'm like, yo, how are people saying the Aya Heru is a chakra? I'm like, I know our ancestors is rolling over in their graves. What are y'all doing? The eye of Heru is not a chakra, bro. And it's not a pineal gland. You goofballs running around talking about pineal glands have never actually looked at a pineal gland. You don't know the anatomy of a pineal gland. You don't know what a pinealocyte is made of. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying dumb things like, oh, the pineal gland is calcified. No, the pineal gland is made with calcium crystals in it because the pineal gland is not an eye at all. But you don't understand that because you got goofballs that's trying to make chakras a real thing. So they're giving validity to chakras by adding Kemetic science to it. Oh, yeah, no, the Kemetic science, because it's on the pyramids. We got the Eye of Heru right here. So we know this is a chakra. The chakras is real because I'm like, oh. Penalty on the play. We're going to give you a 15-yard penalty. Redo third down. No touchdown. Take this all the way back. Take that back. You in the end zone celebrating your touchdown. Like, yeah, the third eye is a chakra. You celebrating the touchdown. You don't know the flag's been thrown on the play. I done threw the flags on the play. We're recalling the touchdown. We're bringing this all the way back to the 40-yard line. You thought you threw a Hail Mary. Oh, yeah, no, I can prove the chakras is real. Look at this. You done threw you a Hail Mary down the sideline to Jerry Rice. He done ran that thing into the end zone. Y'all done start celebrating and going crazy. Y'all didn't pay no attention to the flags thrown on the play. It's a flag on the play. Holding, unnecessary roughness, no touchdown. We're going to bring this back to the 40 and a 15-yard penalty will be assessed. Third down from the 25-yard line. It's a wrap. And I'm like, hold up. If y'all trying to make the Eye of Heru into a chakra, that means y'all never even studied what the chakras is. Y'all don't even know what the Eye of Heru. Not only have y'all not studied the chakras, but y'all didn't really study Kemet before. Because you can't be led into believing that the Eye of Heru is a chakra if you actually studied any real Kemetic science. So when you tell me that, I know you don't know no Kemetic science. And I know that not only don't you know, I know that whatever you've been studying all this time is gobbledygook. Because the Eye of Heru is not a third eye. That's number one. The Eye of Heru is not the pineal gland. That's number two. The Eye of Heru is not a chakra. That's number three. Because the pineal gland is a third ear, if anything. The calcium crystals that's in your pineal gland, you can only find those in your ears. Because those calcium crystals, like your skeleton, are used to convert sound into electricity. They're piezoelectric. That's how your ears work. Your ears convert pressure waves into electric signals that travel through your nerves to your brain. Your pineal gland does the same thing. Piezoelectric crystal, living rock. Living rock. Yeah. So you got to ask yourself. What is all these guys talking about? You don't know because they don't know. But because they've been talking gobbledygook for a long time, you start to give credence to the gobbledygook, and people announce themselves that way. Oh, I've been teaching this science here for 10 years. I've been teaching this for 20, 40, 30, 50. It don't matter if you've been teaching gobbledygook for 1,000 years. It don't make it more than gobbledygook. People mad with me to this day. I tell them no. The Eye of Heru represents the ventricle system. The ventricle system. What is the ventricle system? The ventricle system is what? The ventricle system is one of these. It's a conduit for that electrical water we call cerebral spinal fluid that your consciousness comes out of. Like Nun and Atum. Yeah. It's okay. I know. It's a lot of information. It's just going crazy. That's how we start the new year. I've been watching all this stuff. See, I'm backed up like a man fresh out of prison. First woman he have sex with, he gonna go crazy. You see, this is the first live stream. I ain't been live in weeks. I just been getting text messages. People like, yo, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'm like, I wonder if they send me a Cash App with all these well wishes. I wonder if they bought the family chemistry books for their kids for Christmas. Did you get the family chemistry books for your kids for Christmas? Or you got them a video game or a pair of sneakers? Just saying. That cerebral spinal fluid. That's where the magic is happening. That's where the magic is happening. That's the connection between the heart and the brain. That's the major conduit between the heart and the brain. It's not the vagus nerve. It's the cerebral spinal fluid. Yeah. The Father comes out of Nun. So what do you have in Christianity? Right? You have the fathers and the nuns. You can't make this stuff up. It's Kemetic science. Just they forgot the Kemetic science. They got all these documents and books and scrolls locked away in the Vatican. Yeah. They didn't burn all the books. Trust me. It's in the vaults of the Vatican. This is why books like this, they sell them for $4,000. Yeah, because this is a book on what? Kemetic science, the anatomy they was teaching in Kemet. It's the most valuable thing that Kemet has to offer. The most valuable thing that Kemet has to offer is the science of the human body. And we haven't even began to scratch the surface yet. This is why in the Birds of a Feather book, we start off with the divine cow or the heavenly cow, right? And we talk about what? The scientific equivalent. What are they teaching now in medical school or in medicine? The neurovascular unit. What is the neurovascular unit? The neurovascular unit is the unit inside the top of your brain that feeds all the neurons, like breastfeeding them. Yeah. It's also responsible for cleaning the neurons when you go to sleep at night. Just like a mommy would do. A mommy will feed you and then clean you up. A mommy will feed you and clean you up. So you have the neurovascular unit, aka the heavenly cow or holy cow. Yo, holy cow was crazy. Yeah. You follow that up with the Sefer Yetzirah. What's in the Sefer Yetzirah? The Sefer Yetzirah breaks down the Hebrew language, each letter of the alphabet in terms of what? The human body. The Sefer Yetzirah, in case y'all don't know, the Sefer Yetzirah is the book that creates the Kabbalah. So there's no Kabbalah before the Sefer Yetzirah. So there's no sense in wasting your time studying Kabbalah. You're going to be lost in the land of gobbledygook. You need to study the Sefer Yetzirah. The word Sephora, to the talking about the 10 Dragon Balls, it never existed before that book. In that book, that word is invented. In that book, the Sefer Yetzirah, that word is invented. The concept of Sephira, balls of creation. All of that comes from the Sefer Yetzirah. And the Sefer Yetzirah, it explains to you clearly what the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet is about. The science of the human body. And the Sefer Yetzirah is one of the holiest books in the Jewish community. They just don't know that it comes from this. You didn't know that it came from this. Because you running around, I don't know what y'all doing. Y'all listening to these other guys, all these Kemetic scholars, that's really just Egyptologists in disguise. They're not really Kemetic scholars because they're not studying Kemetic science, respectfully. And Egyptologists have been blocking you from studying Kemetic science. They telling you that mummies is just to study dead people. So you think mummies is about studying dead bodies, wrapping up dead bodies, preparing dead bodies for the grave. No. You can't violate life. That's what they did in the Nazi Germany's. Nazi Germany people, they did medical experiments on living people. We didn't do that. We did the medical experiments on dead people. Yeah. Got a dead body, now go crazy. With care. Right? With care. So you made sure you thoroughly cleaned and sanitized it. How many people wrote the Septuagint? 72 people, right? Just little things. You get the details if you're really studying this information. How many people wrote the Septuagint? 72 people. Where does that number come from? Where does that number come from? 72 people. Where does that number come from? See, I know y'all going to say a lot of different things. What you're not going to say is it takes 72 days to properly prepare Christ, to properly embalm a body, to properly anoint a body. 72 days. That was the procedure. 72 days. That's how long they took with one body. 72 days. Somebody get killed now, the coroner have his way with you, the funeral home prepared, you be ready. You die on Tuesday, they can have you packaged up and ready by Thursday for a funeral. They were studying the body. As they breaking it down, they studying everything. And so this is where the priest and the doctors comes together, because the doctors are studying the living body. The priests, they breaking down, they're studying the embalmers, they're studying the dead body. They're putting the notes together. So when you're studying about the sons of Horus, you know, Kemet, Sanuf, and the other guys, right? That's not just for dead people, right? Because you got to keep in mind the concept, the impact. Remember, that's what we're discussing today. Impact of concepts. Impact of concept. There's no idea of death in Kemet the way we have here in the West. In fact, the idea of dead in Kemet was Westerners. Literally can't make this up. Yeah. So Asar and Anubis, Anpu, yeah, those was the gods of the Westerners in the afterworld, the afterlife, the underworld. Yeah, the Westerners, the mentally dead folks. Yeah. So the concept of death wasn't the same, right? So you got to get that out of your mind. So when you're dealing with the sons of Horus, you're dealing with actually taking care of the body in real life, right? You're dealing with taking care of the lungs, the liver, like in real life. It's my neighbors walking their dog, right? I love the Tika lifestyle journey. We got a few people. Yo, you know what's funny? We got 72 people in here. Yo, can't make this up. Can't make this up. We got 72 people in here. Interesting, right? Even after all these weeks of no videos, I definitely appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. I hope y'all appreciate the book. The book is crazy. The book is insane. Let me show y'all some more of the book. Before it's prayer time officially. We got 2 more minutes and then we're gonna hit this prayer. Right? Now the book is written in different type of ways. So there's portions of the book that's written regularly, but then there's portions of the book where, let me see. Enqi prayer number 2. We give thanks and praise to the Most High God for the divine spark that set ourselves into perpetual motion. We give thanks for the magnetism of the Most Holy The magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and caves. We give thanks for the ability to drink clean water every 60 minutes, flooding the river of life. We give thanks that sugar has not covered our ferries and turned them into stone. We give thanks that darkness has not covered the riverbanks with calcium and turned them into stone. We give thanks that anger and fear have not turned our almonds bitter, turning our heart to stone. We give thanks for smooth sailing upstream through the valley of death, through the superior vena cava into the right atrium. We give thanks for smooth sailing around the heart through the corona crown, joining the vortex in the right atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway to the vineyard. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate to the vineyard closes. We give thanks to the Most High God that provides the light and our breath, and the light in our breath. We give thanks for the fine olfactory system that makes our grapes ripe with light. We give thanks for the Jed pillar that provides us with a stable fleet of ferry boats to dock in our vineyard. We give thanks for smooth sailing through the pulmonary vein into the storm of the left atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter closes. We give thanks for the magnetism of the most holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and our caves. Amen.
All right, so I was trying to get it in before we went to the break. So this is what I was saying though. There's portions of the book large portions of the book that, you know, you gotta translate it in order to read it. Right? So of course there's a lot of parts where it's regular text, but there's a lot of parts you got to translate it to be able to read what it is. Now, I want to show y'all this picture though. Look at this picture right here. Look at that picture right there. That picture right there is worth more than 1 million words. That picture's worth 1 billion words. This is in the book. All right, look. Let's do this. Let me show y'all something else. As I know, after 3 hours, people's brains get fried. Right? How does the Ayah Heru go? Right? The Ayah Heru, right? The Ayah Heru, you got, it goes into fractions, right? Right? The Ayah Heru goes in fractions, right? What is cell reproduction? How does cell reproduction work? How does cellular reproduction go? These same fractions. You have one cell, right? Divide into 2 cells, right? Each one of these cells has what? Half of the original DNA. When these cells divide, right? These 4 cells now have what? 1/4. When these cells divide, right? What do these cells now have? 1/8, right? This is the tree of life. The Ayah Heru, Horus's son, tree of life. This is still a family tree nowadays. They show you a family tree look like this. This is your family tree. This is a tree of life. I hide from the cameras. Why? Because a picture is worth 1,000 words, and y'all herbs will get what y'all deserve. So not only did I show you that they knew what cells was because they magnified, they made the first microscopes and all that, they understood meiosis and mitosis. They understood meiosis and mitosis. This is what the whole Bible story is. Such and such begat such and such, begat such and such, begat such and such, begat such and such. This is the Bible. The Bible is the tree of life. Such and such begat such and such, begat such and such, begat such and such. Meiosis and mitosis. It's not just enough to understand a cell, but how does a cell become a body? How does a seed become a tree? Not only does the Ayah Heru give these fractions for meiosis and mitosis, cellular division, right? But also these fractions is how they broke down the herbs. So if you look up the Ayah Heru fractions, they'll tell you, oh, the fractions goes into Hekat, Hekat goes into Rose. Like, yeah, this is how they broke down the herbs. This is how they healed the body. That's what this was for. Right? This is how they healed the body. So not only is this how the body replicates, but this is also how you put together the herbs, the plants, right? The green man, this is how you use the greens to heal the body. That's why I keep telling you, Egypt and Israel was invented. It's only Kemetic people. Kemetic people that was conquered by Greek and Roman people and made to believe that there are other groups of people now. Oh, no. Y'all not from Egypt. No. You're not Egypt. You're not Egyptian. And then we arguing, yes, we is. We the real Egyptians. Hold on, buddy. We're not the real Egyptians. Let me stop you right there. They are correct. We're not the real Egyptians. Greek people are the real Egyptians. We're not the real Jewish people or the real Israelites. All that's made up. It's just the Kemetic people. So if you want to be the real version, you want to be the real version of the Kemetic people. Not the Egyptians, not the Israelites. Right? Now, if you want to claim Mitzrayim and say you come from the land of the man-made mounds, we could be the Jews that way. We definitely the Jews that way. DJEUS. We can do that. Or DJOUS. We could do that. But this is the Aya Heru right here. This is cellular replication. And you go, well, wait a minute. If the cells here only have half their original DNA, but they have a full set of DNA, where does the other information comes from? What does an eye do? An eye does what? What does an eye do? Think about what an eye does. Do you have this book? Come on now. Wakey. Y'all got to get the books to keep up. What's the main thing we talk about in this book? Transcription, translation. Transcription, translation. We started this conversation talking about the Metu and the medu. Internal conduit of information, external conduit of information. Right? Yeah. Right? So please, in 2025, respectfully, miss me with all that chakra talk, Kabbalah talk. If you ain't talking that melanin versus diabetes talk, you gotta miss me. Because you talking some ridiculous gibberish that an eye absorbs and translates light. Our eye absorbs and translates light, information. So that's where the rest of the information comes from the cell. Living information. We didn't know about that 100 years ago, but now we call it epigenetics. You're recording, you're scribing daily. You're a scribe, you're scribing daily into the book of life, right? And again, this is why they don't know where this word comes from. They don't know where this word comes from. Hebrew. Or if you want to do Ivrit, right? They don't know where this word comes from. Either version of it. They don't know where it comes from. What it means, rather. Right? They say, oh, we know what that means. It means crossing over. Okay. This only works when you actually think that a guy put a scepter down in the middle of the ocean and made the water go like that. If you don't believe that somebody put the thing like this and then made the water go like that, this goes out the window because they didn't cross over. It was no magical moment of crossing over a river, the Red Sea or the Jordan. There's no magical moment of that. There's no actual documentation of that. Somebody putting the staff in the middle of the thing and then all of a sudden the water. But I can tell you where there is documentation of that. Watch. It's very simple. I can show you some documentation right now. Let's go over here. So I want you to watch me as I do it. I want you to watch me as I do it so you can see how simple this is. Right? Look at that. Now, I didn't even finish typing nothing. I just typed in crossing over. And look what pops up. Look what the first three things pops up is. Meiosis, definition, and biology. Yeah. There you go right there. Crossing over is the science of reproduction. And you go, but wait a minute, Doc, it doesn't say that in the Bible. And when you say that to me, then I say you're insane. Because it absolutely says that in the Bible. The Bible doesn't say anything else as much as it says reproduction, reproduction, reproduction. And not only does it stress reproduction, right? Not only does it stress reproduction, the Bible is so mean. I can't front. When they put together the Bible, them scribes was tough. Listen, them scribes is tough. You can say what you want about the Bible. That thing is so well put together. Look, let me show you. Because the problem will come in where you go, well, wait a minute. When you're talking about meiosis, right? What happened in the garden? Did you forget the garden? The cellular reproduction started with one. The people production in the Bible starts with one. And then the one becomes two. And then the two becomes four. Yeah. Adam magically becomes Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve magically become Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel. I'm trying to tell you. Yeah. Ask yourself this. As I know, people's brains is melting already. Ask yourself this. Here's the question. We look at the Old Testament, and we look at the New Testament, and we look at the Quran. Where does the dietary law come from? You can't have a dietary law if you don't have an anatomical study. If you don't have a physiological study, if you don't have a biochemical study. This is why folks is debating They're debating because they don't understand. They're debating because they don't understand the origins. But this is why we had the conversation. And these words right here is powerful. Let's tell you the whole story. Enqi and Ani. Enqi and Ani. What do these words mean? I am. Both of these terms translates to I am. Every time in the Bible you see the words I am, it is using one of these two terms. Ani is the most famous scribe in the history of Kemet. Enqi is not only a Kemetic word, but if we remove the vowels, it is Ankh. So everything that we're studying in the realm of science is Kemetic, because we're studying how the electric, the magnetic, the forces of nature, right? Which is not even a real thing. Nature is just a way of them constantly acknowledging Neter. They say, oh, the God, the Father, and then there's Mother Nature. More of that, turning the Jed pillar into a faggot kind of thing, That's how they do that. God the Father, and then there's Mother Nature. What is God the Father doing? Providing. What is Mother Nature doing? All the heavy lifting. Yeah. So there's really just the Neter or the Neture, right? Really just the Neture, right? Every time you see the term I am in the Bible, it's a confirmation of that. So you don't even get to have a dietary anything without a philosophy built on the study of the human body, which is the reason why the Jewish people have to have the Sefer Yetzirah as their holy book, because the holy book attaches the language that creation is rooted in to the study of the body. So they're saying our dietary laws, our science of living comes from the language. The language, studying the language is, in fact, a study of the body, because the language comes from the tree of life, and the tree of life comes from the study of the human anatomy. Let me see if I can pull that book up here. Let me see if I can pull that book up. I might be able to pull that book up, so y'all can see what I'm saying. I'm talking about the Birds of the Feather book, not the new book. I might be able to pull that Birds of a Feather book up. I be writing books on one laptop
and doing live streams on another laptop because it takes up so much space and memory. It'd be messing up my computer. Chase! Okay, here we go. I'm gonna let y'all look at this while I go run to find my charger. I need my laptop charger. I need you to hurry up, though. I'm on 0, champ. I'm on 0. See that? The very first time this word is ever used. You see the terminology? Spirit from spirit, engraved and hewed. Right? That's not it, bro. Don't bring me that bogus joint. Come on, man. Spirit from spirit, engraved and hewed. What do you engrave and hew? That's talking about stone. That's talking about stone. He cut the 4 dimensions of heaven, the east, the west, the north, and the south. There is a wind for each direction. Look. So you know, because some of y'all may not be familiar with this. He hewed them in spirit, carved them in voice, fixed them in the mouth in 5 places. Aleph, He, Het, Ein, Beit, Vav, Mem. These are the alphabets.
Is it this one? I thought you said the other one.
This is it right here. You know this is it, bro. This is. How you mean? How you mean? That's what happened when you got the same devices as your children and they want to violate you and steal stuff. Bam. Okay, we live. See, this is the creation. This is the creation of the language and their association of it with the body. And the spirit. Right? He made the letter Shin, king in spirit, and bound it to a crown, and tested this one with that one.
The crown is talking about the head, right? How do you know? Because right here it tells you the head of Adam is fire. His heart is of the spirit wind. His stomach is from water, right? So they're giving you a creation of the human body with the letters, with the 22. Right? Look. Left eye, the right nostril. Right? The hands and the feet. The organs of the body. Right? They have to have this. So they just hijacked your story. They just hijacked your story right here. Hold on. Maybe you need to see that too. Maybe you need to see that too. Hold on. Let me do that too while we're here. Just so we don't leave here into confusion. Let me see what I could share. You see that? Oh, wait a minute. Look. And only because I don't like people to think that I'm making stuff up or whatever. Look. Just so you see. And Papri identified 22 vessels distributed to all parts of the body, broadly described their location. The National Institute of Health, traditional ancient Egyptian medicine. The basic concept of health and disease, according to the Ebers Papyrus, is that the body has 22 metu, or vessels, which connect the body, blah, 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 blah. The Journal of Vascular Surgery. The Papyri identified 22 vessels distributed to all parts of the body and broadly described their location. Okay. So I think we get to hopefully. I mean, I don't know what else to show you. So that you hopefully stop wasting your time. Right? You stop wasting your time talking about chi. Don't waste your time talking about chi and this one and that one. All of those things comes from the original. So now what we did was we breathed life back into the language so that we could retell our story. That's what's in the book. Our narrative with our words. Our narrative with our words.
our narrative with our words. Right? Our narrative with our words. And when I tell you, when you go through those words, there's so much you're going to see in there. There's so much you're going to see in there. Like, it's crazy. Like, the same word for pyramid is the same word for chisel. So you know who invented the tool, the chisel. The pyramid builders invented the chisel. So it's the same word. It's the same word. Hit the Cash App. Make sure you're on the Patreon, because what we're going to do with the Patreon, now that we got the book out, what we're going to do with the Patreon is the language lessons will not be on YouTube. I mean, we're going to be teaching out of the book every day, you know what I'm saying? And out of the book, all of the books, like we've been doing. But I'm saying the actual language, right? Those are going to be separate, because we gotta go back and forth in a different type of way to really learn the language, especially as people that's already over 30, 40, 50, etc. Meaning you already got your first 20 years in speaking only English. So we got to go in and attack it in a different type of way, right? Especially since we're going to be attacking it from a standpoint of other sciences. So it's learning multiple things at once, right? You're learning the language and you're learning the science, right? So we'll be describing the anatomy in terms of Kemetic philosophy in using the Kemetic words, right? So we'll be using the words, we'll be using the original Heka, the original words of power, the original words of magic, right? We had another level with this thing. It's not even fair no more. I'm telling you, it's not even fair anymore. Like what we're doing right now is not even, it's crazy. That's all I can say. We so far ahead, we lapping people. Like it's crazy now. Right? So yeah. When we talk about the logos, we going a whole nother level with the word. Because now we know the word.
Now we know the word. We know that creation didn't happen with the Hebrew, because the word in the Bible that describes the Hebrew is not a Hebrew word. It's et, to describe the aleph and tav, the alphabet. But we know the alphabet is not a Hebrew language. We know the alphabet of creation is not Hebrew. We know Hebrew is not Hebrew because Hebrew doesn't even exist. Hebrew is a word that means crossing over. Hebrew is a word that means crossing over. So we know that that's not a real thing. Just like Egypt, we know that's not a real thing. Those are created terms. And the Sefer Yetzirah confirms it. The word was engraved and hewn. What does that mean? That means chiseled. Well, there's only one group of people that's chiseling stuff into stone. The word of God chiseled in stone. There's only one group. You got the Sumerians, you got some other folks that was doing some stuff with stone. You only got one group of people that have a medu necher, words of God, carved into stone, literally. Right? What do they say when it's common sense? What did your parents and your parents' parents say when something's common sense? You're supposed to know it. They didn't say common sense. They said what? The writing is on the walls. Ooh, Netcha. They said the writing is on the walls. Yeah, the writing is on the walls. But what was on the walls wasn't for the teaching and the speaking. The teaching and the speaking belonged to a specific secret society called the scribes. The scribes was a secret society. Yeah, that was a secret society. Just like doctors. Doctors was a secret society. So you had to be inside a society to understand what was going on. But when you get the book, you're gonna know what's going on. When you get the book, you're gonna know what's going on. Nothing to be able to be kept from you once you got the book. It's a wrap. You're gonna know everything because you're gonna have the words again. Once you have the words again, all the science just pops itself out. Once you have the words again, the science pops itself out. Right? We got the tweezers in there for Reggie. Look, we put the tweezers in there for Reggie. We got the tweezers in there for Reggie. Right? We got the tweezers in there for Reggie, but we also have the original word. Right? We got the forceps in there. Right? But we got the original words now. So it's nothing that anybody will be able to keep from you. Once you got the original words again. So we go through some stuff now. Hold on. We go through the let me see. Oh, I went the wrong direction. We go through the see, now this is interesting right here. This is the other side of it. This is the other side of it. So here's the other side of it. Because I showed you where the letters come from, right? Beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's no debating. You can't debate this level of information, right?
Now, the other thing is that they're going to say, well, the letters all got numbers associated with it. That also comes from the Egyptian papyri. So all they did was mash together different papyri to create the Hebrew. And that basically was your breadcrumb. Now, they didn't do it to steal. You got to understand this. They didn't do it to steal. It just, when all of the science got forgotten and we get to this time period that we in now, it looks like they did it to steal, but they really didn't do it to steal. Right? I don't want my candor and me poking fun to mislead, because I want to bring everybody together and bring folks back to God and Christ, right? They didn't do it to steal. They did it for breadcrumbs. Remember, they're writing the Bible under threat, duress, and coercion. This is a Greek invasion. They got the swords on these people to give up all of the sciences. Well, they had to put together the papyri. So they take the Ebers papyrus, which is the medical and anatomical information, and then they take the mathematical papyri and mash it together. They take the anatomical and the mathematics and mash it together, and that's where they give you the Hebrew language. But all you got to do is go back to the papyri, and then you will see. Right? Now, when you go back to the papyri, right? When you go back to the Leiden papyrus, right? Well, you're gonna have to do some work. You're gonna have to do some work. We got it there for you in the translations, right? You got the French, and then you got the English, but the English is in the hymn nature. So you got to translate the hymns. You're like, wait a minute. Hymns? Isn't hymn in the Bible? Of course. Hymns is how you communicate with God. But the term hymns from the Bible comes from the Kemetic. Hymn means to be a king or a servant to God. So it just so happens in the Bible, the hymns is the way that you communicate with God. Interesting, right? Yeah. Once you get the words. Once you get the words, it's all sit right there, low-hanging fruit, man. So let's have a powerful new year. Make a new you, right? New you. New language, new way of thinking, new way of seeing the world. Let's do something new. You know the definition of crazy. To keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expect different results.